Hi everyone, and welcome to my textual analysis digital presentation on the topic of organizational implications of electronic communication. Today, we will be diving into specific texts that help to identify the challenges that exist when trying to deliver a message through an electronic mean, and how one can overcome these challenges to enhance their chance of successfully conveying their emotions with accuracy. So, without further ado, let's dive into the research. The specific text we will be looking at today will be examples of emails. Using emails for communication is extremely common in organizations today, so to compare the research to email examples seems to be very fitting. And from a reliability standpoint, I would imagine most of my research audience will be able to identify with some of these examples, which will help them to begin implementing these practices as soon as possible. First, let's take a look at an email that supports research in the field of why emotions are likely to be inaccurately communicated in emails. The text reads, "Dear Colton, do you have those posters that you had said would be done last Friday? I am in need of them. Thanks, Celeste." While the way in which I just read that email sounds very friendly, this email could also be read in a negative tone. Because Celeste has chosen to include the part that says, that you have said would be done last Friday, I could interpret this as a passive-aggressive attack, as she could be implying that she is confused and unhappy that she did not get the posters last Friday. However, Celeste never provided a specific due date in the email, so this also could be a true friendly reminder that she needs the posters and is not bothered that they were not given to her last Friday as promised. This is an example of how a plain text email is a great way for people to misinterpret the true emotion that the message creator had intended. Research conducted in the article Toward a Model of Nonverbal Cues and Emotions in Emails illuminates the notion that how senders code their messages contributes to the communication process and the heightened chance of accuracy. In the last example, this line in the email read, "Do you have those posters that you had said would be done last Friday? I am in need of them." In order to edit this line, we need to add a few more details and edit some minor wording to add apparent emotion and lessen the severity of the situation. My edit reads as follows. "Do you have those posters that we discussed last week? I need them for a very important upcoming event. Please let me know as soon as you can, and I appreciate your help as always." As you should be able to see, we simultaneously supported the urgency of this request and added some emotion to make the message receiver feel valued and appreciated. We changed the email from saying, "Those posters you had promised last Friday," to generally saying posters we discussed last week. This way, the message receiver does not feel attacked or that we are upset the deadline was missed. Of course, if you wanted to let the person know you were emailing that you were upset, you could keep those details. However, in this example, that is not the case. Continuing on with this research, there have been tangible ways identified that help you to add emotion to an email and increase the likelihood that the individual you are sending the message to will interpret the emotion correctly. For example, let's take a look at the emotion of anger. Research participants found that both the use of bold text in an email and if a specific person was carbon copied or CC'd onto an email were usually signs that the individual is angry. In my first example, I have, "Please do not send over the report from this morning." Without following up with the message sender, we are unable to tell from this email if the word "not" was bolded to make sure that the individual clearly understood the message and knew not to do it, or if it was bolded because the individual is angry about something with the report. In the next example, we have an email that reads, "Dear Colton, how are things going with this morning's report? When will it be complete?" Because my manager has been CC'd onto this email, I question if the individual who sent the message just wanted to keep my manager into the loop, or if he or she is implying that something is dissatisfying about the report, and that he or she wants my manager to step in and try to troubleshoot and solve whatever issue he or she may be alluding to. Again, there is no way to tell from this email unless I were to follow up and ask these specific questions. However, if the message senders took extra time to add emotion into the emails, I would likely be less anxious over these emails and have a better understanding of their true intended emotions. Another common identifier of emotion that research participants associate with emotions is the use of emoticons. For those who are unaware, an emoticon is a representation of facial expression formed by various combinations of keyboard characteristics and are used in electronic communication to convey the writer's feelings or intended tone. In my two examples below, you can see that the reading of "Dear Colton, at some point today, would you mind stepping up to my office today? Thanks," is much less nerve-wracking with the use of an emoticon and exclamation points. In the first example, it is not clear if the reasoning I have to go up to the office is to be rewarded, to be scolded, or for a neutral experience. However, in the second example, I am much more confident that whatever it is, I will be in good shape and positive spirit. From my personal experiences, I know that the use of emoticons in professional emails varies in the opinion of many professionals. Some feel that using an emoticon in a professional email is not appropriate. However, others believe that it's an extremely valuable aspect of the email to ensure that you are expressing your emotions to the highest extent. While I agree that emoticons have their place in emails, I find this divide of opinions to be extremely fascinating. And now to the final section of this research project, the implications. So, how are these findings important? As you may know or even have experienced, miscommunication in an organization can cause major issues. Just as I have identified in several examples, plain language in an email gives the opportunity for the message receiver to interpret the emotion behind the words in many, many different ways, including a negative impact to the vital relationships that you need to work in order to carry out your organizational tasks and thrive in your career. The research that was presented in these findings do provide tangible ways to incorporate emotion into your emails to support your efforts and ensure authenticity and emotional accuracy. Continuing our discussion, what can be learned from this research project? Prior to being exposed to my research, you may not have been aware of the challenge of conveying emotion in electronic communication without being able to use social cues or nonverbal communication as you would do in a face-to-face conversation. I do hope that after this research, you are not only more cognizant of these issues, but have a stronger sense of how to overcome the obstacles and enhance the success of your accurate message delivery. Thank you all so much for allowing me to share my textual analysis digital presentation with you all today. Please do review my resources here if you would like to dig deeper into any additional information.